Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle coming to you from the Simon Scott Assembly Hall with Indiana Sports Beat. Joined tonight by Mike Schumann as he was on the show with us earlier today. And tonight, Indiana welcomed in UT-Arlington to a game that was a lot scrappier than I think a lot of us expected it. I'm sure it was more than Archie expected, or maybe not. But they certainly put up quite a fight. And this was a game Indiana didn't quite seem to be into playing tonight.
Yeah, they were in it for a while, right? For the first 20 minutes, they were up by 17 at halftime, and then I think, like us, they just assumed that the game was over, and next thing you know, it's a one-point game, and
The one thing in the first half, a ton of turnovers for Indiana. 13 first half turnovers, a very high number. They would end up with 18 for the game. They did a better job in the second half, but the damage was done in the first half. They built a 20-point lead at one time, but UT-Arlington scrapped and clawed and got back within one before Indiana would put them away. Juwan Morgan, of course, leads Indiana tonight. He had 23 and 10, another double-double for Juwan, so a big night for him, who put this team on his back, but he kind of has to because they're the walking wounded right now. There are 7 scholarship players played in this game tonight. As a matter of fact, right now, until things change, there are 7 scholarship players that are hurt. Romeo got hit in the face tonight, took a blow to the nose, which I don't think that's going to be anything to keep him out. But also, Al Durham went down very, very hard in this game, and he didn't come back in either. But that adds to the other guys that are already out, the 4 that were missing at the Arkansas game, and then you add Deron Davis to that list. He did not play tonight. He's tweaked, I think he said the other Achilles,
right.
Archie mentioned in the press conference. So they are down a lot of guys, and it's showing when you only have 7 players on the floor.
Especially at guard depth, right? I mean, they could not afford to lose anyone else. And now with Durham out, I mean, I was stunned that we never saw Johnny Jagger in that game, just purely based on depth. I mean, I think that tells you where Archie's at in terms of playing walk-ons right now. We'll see if that changes on Friday. I guess we'll see who's actually available. I mean, it's crazy, and I think, Romeo, we might get to see Romeo in a mask on Friday.
Very possible. Like I said, he took a shot to the nose. It was bleeding, and it took a while to get it stopped. He didn't play the last 4 minutes of this game, but 52 of the 78 points tonight for Indiana came in the paint. Their outside shooting, again, non-existent. They would go, I think, 2 of 12 for 16% from behind the arc. So Archie has said many times this is not a three-point shooting team, and, man, it is certainly not. I mean, they may have a good game here and there when Evan Fitzner goes 4 for 4, but when that doesn't happen, this team is not very good shooting from very far out.
Yeah, and UT-Arlington really seemed to be denying the ball hard, so it made it really hard for Indiana to get reversals, to get passes into the post, and because of that, I mean, everything that they were trying to do there for a while became really difficult until the last 4 minutes when I think Juwan Morgan had seen enough, and he seemed to rally the troops and say, you know what, guys, we got to get this done. Because if you think about this game, if they lost this game, what that would mean in March, come and see a tournament time, this would be an ugly one on the resume. So it's a great thing they did pull it out.
And this is a game that the team last year could have lost.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't have that killer instinct that at least having Romeo and having a Juwan Morgan this year playing together, those guys can put it on their back when they need to. Romeo, he may not be lighting it up from outside, but if you need points, he can score, and that's one thing he does do well. 16 and 8 tonight, so close to a double-double for Romeo tonight, who was recently named the Big Ten Freshman of the Week. He averaged 22 points and almost 8 rebounds a game, so he's been playing quite well and quite consistent for this team. One of the few consistencies that they've got going right now.
Yeah, and through it all, I mean, your point about last year, I mean, this game was not unlike the way Fort Wayne played last year, and we saw how that thing got out of hand in a hurry. And so, I mean, despite it all, despite 7 scholarship players being down with injury, they're still finding a way to win these kind of games. You know, who knows what's coming Friday, who's available, but we'll see.
Well, you talk about last year and it being very similar to the Fort Wayne game. For as far as three-point shooting, that's one thing they did a great job, again, tonight defensively, holding UT-Arlington to 27%, 8 of 29 from behind the arc. So that's one thing they're doing this year differently. Their defense is stopping teams from doing the things that really hurt them last year. But a very scrappy team tonight, and this is also it's Thanksgiving week. The students are gone. They're tired. They just came off of a horrible loss at Arkansas. They've got half their team is hurt and the walking wounded. It's not a fun time for Archie right now. It can't be.
Yeah, you go into seasons thinking, man, I hope we don't have a key injury. We've got 7. I mean, the good news is none of them are season-ending, at least as far as we know. But, Archie said in the postgame, he's never seen anything like this, nor have I.
They've got one more game on Friday, UC Davis, before they have to go to Raleigh-Durham next week. Tuesday night, they'll take on the Duke Blue Devils, who the only thing I can see as positive as that is Duke is playing in Hawaii, so maybe they'll have some serious jet lag because this team is really down to a few players. I mean, you've seen teams adding managers to come in and play. I think Virginia did, or somebody else that did, and it's getting that bad. I mean, 7 scholarship players hurt right now, which again, we don't know if all of those are going to miss the next game. I doubt it. I'm sure Romeo will play, but Al Durham went down hard and didn't come back. We don't know what that's going to be like. So, and don't know when he's going to get the other guys back. I thought I saw Zach McRoberts warming up with the team before the game. He didn't play again tonight, of course, but we'll see Friday. There was no mention on who's going to be back and who isn't going to be back.
Yeah, I would suspect Friday might be just rest for these guys that they need it, but Duke, I think maybe the goal is just to not lose as bad as Kentucky did.
Yeah, that's right now that's how it looks, especially because it's going to be on the road down in Durham. So hopefully they can get most of these guys back. Maybe with knowing that who they're playing, coach is saving some of those guys for next week, trying to give them as much rest as possible so they'll be ready because he's going to need bodies down in Durham. And I mean, man, he didn't have as many to turn to right now.
Yeah, Duke loves to run their full tempo up court all the time, and we don't have anybody to chase them. It's going to be interesting.
Well, that's the story here tonight at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Indiana does win 78-64, but it was a very, very tough fall win as UT-Arlington cuts it close there towards the end. Indiana finally pulls away, but they're a depleted roster. We'll see what they can get done on Friday night. They come back here after Thanksgiving and play UC Davis before they head down to Raleigh-Durham next week to take on the Duke Blue Devils, which will be a tall task for the Hoosiers. But we'll see what they can get done on Friday. But we hope you have a great Thanksgiving. From Mike Schumann, thanks a lot from the Daily Hoosier for joining us today. And you'll hear him again each week on the show, Indiana Sports Beat. Make sure you tune in to Indiana Sports Beat each day. We're on 6 to 8 live, and you can find that on indianasportsbeat.com if we're not on in your area. Also on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcast, all the usual suspects, Facebook as well. But that's going to wrap it up here from Simon Scott Assembly Hall. I'm Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat, and I'll see you on the radio.